Hey, what's going on, beautiful black people? How you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. I am, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do you a favor if you're on Periscope. I'm gonna actually try to clean my camera off a little bit, and maybe that'll make me come through clear. I don't know. I know I flipped the camera. Hold on, here we go. All right, so I've unflipped back to where we were before. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing well. I hope that your time off work and holidays and all that stuff is going really well for you. I know that most of us enjoy having that free time with family, time to do our thing. What's going on? I see Simone says, "Greetings, honored sir. Good to see you." And Reverend Sam, the Happiness Man, how you doing, man? I love the way you brand yourself every time you come in here. That's what I'm talking about. My sister said she loves this Periscope. Well, I love you too, and I appreciate you. I thank you for hanging out with me. And some people say being intelligent ain't cool anymore, but I'm hoping we can bring it back because being ignorant ain't cool either, especially when you deal with the consequences of ignorance. They say education is expensive, but ignorance is 10 times more costly. How you doing? I see is that Big Bank? Good morning, sir. Rue 81. How you doing? Nice to see you. Hey, Dr. Boyce from Frankie 2121. All right, and Maggie says you are a great man of wisdom. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You need to tell that to all the people who call me a stupid motherfucker in my email, because I get a lot of those. But then I explained to my daughter the other day. I said that the reason that people get mad when you present a new idea, in some cases, because sometimes you might just be wrong. You got to accept that too. But I said the reason people get mad, I believe, is that psychologists say that what you do when you present an idea to them that they're not used to, something that they don't expect, or something that is different from what they believe, you're causing cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when it's like their whole world is being disrupted, and so their first reaction usually is going to be to get mad at you. It's very difficult for somebody to accept a new idea that is different from what they've always believed. It's very difficult. It's like if you try to tell me, "No, Boyce, your shirt really isn't red." I'm gonna be like, "No, no, what are you talking about? It's red. I know it's red. I put it on this morning, and I was looking specifically for a red shirt, and I know it's red, right?" And so it would really, I'd have to be real open minded, especially if red's like my favorite color and I believe in red. Or if you tell me the red is somehow, bad for, for your brain cells. I would probably fight you. I'd probably argue with you. I'd probably tell you to get the hell out of my face. It would take me time to consider this new idea, if I ever considered it at all. Chances are I might just write you off as crazy. And that's because you've caused cognitive dissonance, which is also what they call psychology. I'm an armchair psychologist right now, just so you know. But is it would affect what they call the schemata. The schemata is your worldview, just your construct. So, for example, if my whole life I believed that my father was a good guy, and you come to me and you say your father was a murderer, he killed 45 people, I'll probably argue with you on that. I'd argue you into the ground. You need a whole lot of evidence to convince me that my father was not a good person, right? And so, long story short, that's what happens. That's what happens when people get mad. So I try not to get too offended when people get upset. Some people get real nasty with you and they come at you and, all this other stuff. But it comes with the territory. In fact, the other funny thing I have observed is that this is how I know that what we're doing is having an impact, because when you become kind of famous, a little famous, and I guess technically I'm in that category. There's a lot of cities I go to and people recognize and all that stuff. But when you become a little famous, people start spreading the weirdest rumors about you. They start saying things. It's like they want to believe that you live this life that is just so amazing and different and glamorous. Now, mind you, there are some perks, right? I get a lot of free T-shirts. Everybody want to give me a free T-shirt. A lot of people like you before they even know you. That's pretty interesting, right? Because I'll be like, why do you trust me so much? You shouldn't trust me this much. You just met me. You know me from the internet, but you don't really know me like that. But, it works just because, at least you can have an influence on people. You can say something like, you might say something like, that's a really nice suit, or that's a really nice dress. And it'll really make them feel good. And so I enjoy that part of it. And then also, what are the other perks? The money ain't bad. You can figure out, if you figure out how to work your business model, you know how to, pay your bills and stuff like that. So you don't have to go work for white people and beg and scrap and deal with, nonsense. The travel, get to travel a lot. I've been to a lot of places. That's pretty cool. and get to have an impact. You get to make a difference in the world, and that's really amazing, an amazing thing too. But the downside is people making stuff up. There was one lady who had a big Facebook page, and this lady literally like said, I hate Dr. Watkins and guys like Dr. Watkins and Umar Johnson because Dr. Watkins has all these illegitimate kids he ain't taking care of, and they say all this stuff to black women and they love black women, but they ain't taking care of their own damn kids. And I was like, well, I have one biological daughter. Now I have several god kids. And I treat them like my own, and I take good care of them. I even take good care of my god kids. I sure as hell ain't gonna abandon my biological kids. So I was like, I went to the lady and was like, "What are you talking about?" And so I said, "Okay, boys, calm down, calm down. I know you want to blow your top, but just be nice." And I figured she was probably trying to get some attention. Some people when they're trying to get on and get put on and get out there, they'll just throw a spear at somebody. And I just said, well, what you're saying is not true. And I said, you should also understand that there are some people who will probably sue you for slander. Like you can't just go on a blog with thousands of people and say something like that, And I said also, look, if you're looking, because I think she started spinning it like, well, I think she was saying to other people because to keep from embarrassing herself, because I think she was really embarrassed once I just kind of responded. I don't think she expected me to say anything, but I was like, no, this is my daughter. I love my kids. Why would you say something like that? And then she started saying, haha, my plan worked, and I now have publicity for my book. And I was thinking, she's doing all this like making an ass out of herself to get publicity for a book. I said, you shouldn't do that. That's not a good way to start your career. I said, if you wanted somebody to know about your book, you just send me the link to your book and I'll put it on my Facebook page. I'd rather help you. Like, why would you assume that I want to obstruct you? Yeah, I mean, my goal is to help people as much as I can, And so we kind of sort of became friends a little bit, but not really because I didn't really trust her, honestly, because I was kind of like, what kind of sick person would go around with that kind of venom in their heart? I don't really like venomous people like that. I work very hard to not be that person. But at the same time, I kind of forgave her because she's a little younger than me, and I understand, maybe that we all make mistakes. But that's one of the interesting things too. So people will make stuff up. I went to my hometown of Louisville and did an event, and somebody said, "Well, this group said they were boycotting you because you don't take care of your kids." And again, I was just like, "What are you talking about? Like, I don't even get that." So I would say that generally speaking, what I would ask is that if you hear something crazy about me, some weird rumor, Dr. Boyce Watkins, he likes to rape puppies in his spare time. Just check, do some fact checking, do a little research, and if somebody says that on their page, just kind of challenge them, say, well, did you actually get proof of that? Did you actually look that up? Like, what evidence do you have? Because I saw Dr. Watkins with a puppy, and he didn't seem to want to have sex with the puppy. Dr. Watkins don't even have a dog, So anyway, I'm being stupid. I know that's a horrible visual to like put in your head the day after Christmas, like the idea of a man raping a puppy. But anyway, so I'm gonna stop. All right. By the way, before we forget, do this: share, like, please, please, please. We're trying to build independent Black media, so please share this to your Facebook page, your Twitter. Invite your Twitter followers real quick. Hit the subscribe button if you see a subscribe button anywhere, or follow button. Please follow, connect, be part of the tribe, be part of the revolution, because this is a revolution. Y'all don't even know the stuff. I would tell you the truth. I'll tell you the truth. We have been making some boss moves in the background. We have made some moves that I truly believe are going to take everything that we're doing to a whole nother level. And we already reached millions of people on our own. We don't even need any help, honestly. But we formed some good partnerships that it's hard, it's like business wise, I'm hard to marry because in the sense that I have certain views and expectations that don't fit with mainstream media. That's why you'll never see me have a show on CNN or nothing like that. Maybe in 30 years or something when the world changes, but not now. But we found some partnerships that I think will work. One of them, for example, is with Simmons College of Kentucky. The president of Simmons College, Kevin Cosby, who's also the pastor of St. Stephen's Church there, the largest mega church in the state, has agreed to let us pretty much use a lot of his facilities to pursue our mission. He agreed to host the All Black National Convention for us on his campus. which allows us to which solves one big problem for us. We have the hardest time finding a venue that can hold that many thousands of people, because we tried to reach out to a black-owned Marriott in D.C. and in a few other places. And a lot of times, honestly, when you put the word black in the title, like when I call it the All Black National Convention, or I have the Black Business School, you still have a lot of people that are scared of blackness. You have a lot of people that think that somehow just saying the word black is too radical. That literally, if you put the word black in the title of what you're doing, then somehow that automatically makes you some sort of radical, scary person, right? Which tells you how deeply the word black has been made taboo. Right. My friend Lamar Tyler, who runs blackandmarriedwithkids.com, all they do is they promote marriage and family for black people. He said that a lot of people won't partner with them because the word black is in the title of what they do. He said white people will say, well, why are you being racist? Why you got to say the word black? That's just racist. And then black people will say, mainstream Negroes will be like, oh, I don't want to be too black, because if I be too black, white people won't like me no more. Right. And so, and it's unfortunate because all they're doing is promoting black love, black marriage, and black family. But really, a strong black family is a threat to national security. Black people really loving each other is something that scares a lot of people in the power structure. If that wasn't the case, then why did they 30, 40 years ago create the artificial war on drugs and put crack in the black community in order to dismantle the black family? They did that because they knew that when your families are weaker, that you're weaker. That when you don't have strong communities, you're not strong. So that was their way of conquering you. They said, we're going to divide and conquer. And this goes back to slavery. The massa did that. The massa said, I want the black woman to hate the black man to hate the black woman, and I want the black family I want them to get together and make babies so we can breed, but I don't want them getting together and actually working together and standing together. Now I see somebody here who looks like a troll, so let me do some troll elimination here. There we go. You call it the doc blocker. There you go. So people say cock blocking, we're gonna call it doc blocking, because if you're a troll and you up in here talking shit, you about to get kicked out, because we trying to talk and we trying to build here. All right, so I said block party. Why is your Twitter name Lucifer, man? Like, seriously, why you got to be Lucifer? Okay, anyway, that's not my business. All right, so like I said, the other thing is, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, you can go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. Now, one of the things I want to hit on today, and this is something I want to be delicate about because I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but it really bothered me because, as much as our feelings might be hurt by this conversation, I feel that there are a lot more people whose feelings are hurt even worse because we act like we don't care about them. I saw a lot of people that were upset about George Michael, right? And I saw even my friend Mark Lamar Hill, he said he made this status update about Michael's death, and he said, oh, George Michael too, 2016, you ain't shit. And I've heard a lot of people say that 2016 ain't nothing because 2016 took away my favorite celebrities, and I mean, and it's sad, right? Like a brother like Prince dying, I was sad, and not because of Prince as a musician. That's fine, but really Prince the man, Prince the activist is what I lost in my heart. A guy who was a celebrity who always cared about black people, and I have a lot of respect for that. Now, before I keep talking, sister's asking, when is registration closed for blackmoney102.com? Well, the early registration for the kickoff is going to close in a couple of days, but actually you can jump in. It's a monthly program, so you theoretically can jump in when you want to, but the kickoff is going to be the first 6 weeks. That's we're going to do the kind of boot camp style situation. We'll do another kickoff in a few months, but the kickoff begins, and then after that, each week we'll talk about investing. So if you're interested in the stock market class, you can actually sign up at blackmoney102.com. That's blackmoney102.com. Now, so the thing about Prince is that, and I actually knew Prince's god sister really, really well. I still know her. And, I got this sense that Prince was a real brother. I got a sense that Prince was just a decent human being. And that's what led me to be sad. But, when I see people kind of having a freak out episode, literally having nervous breakdowns because their favorite singers have died, I wonder, in my mind, I wonder how deeply we worship celebrities. I wonder how we are disproportionately influenced by Negroes on TV. Because that's all it really is black people on TV. Because Understand this. Look, a celebrity is nothing more than a construct created by corporate media. If they had never put these people on television or radio, you would know who they are. They could die, plus 1,000 other people could die with them, and you would not care. You wouldn't feel sad. You wouldn't be depressed. You wouldn't be needing your hot cocoa where you wear your purple rain jacket, to soothe, to get you through the cold, lonely nights. You wouldn't need all of that because you wouldn't even know who Prince was. You wouldn't even know who George Michael is, right? And so that's the first thing, right? Now, the second thing is that we got to kind of think about how, being blinded by the stars kind of keeps us from really seeing the full vision of what can and should matter in our community. Now, I'm not telling you what should matter in your life. I'm not telling you that at all. But sometimes, when we get carried away with celebrities, like you see the people with the beehive that literally will go to war for Beyonce, will become feminists because Beyonce said to, or will, literally act like Beyonce and Jay-Z's relationship is their relationship. That's a little scary. That's a little strange. That's a little detached from reality. And that also makes me wonder how many of these individuals are investing stock in their own lives, as opposed to living vicariously through the lives of other people. I see that happen a lot, and what it does is it not only does it take away your own personal power, but it also causes you not to really see the suffering in your own community a lot of times. Here's the fact. Look, this year in Chicago alone, 745 people have been murdered, including 7 people who were murdered on Christmas Day. I got a friend that works in the coroner's office here. She said, it's amazing. Like Christmas time, all these murders are coming in. 85% of these people, all of these homicide victims I see are black people. The rest are Hispanic. Few white people come in every now and then. And so to give you a point of comparison, that number is a what percentage increase? It is a 56% increase over last year, which was already horrible. Chicago already had an insanely frightening murder rate. People already just dropping dead in the streets everywhere. And this number is 56% higher than the number from last year. So Chirac has become Chirac squared. Chirac has become Chirac plus Syria plus Afghanistan. I mean, you're talking about your own people that are dying like crazy. And here's the funny thing. Everybody that's running around saying 2016 was a sad year because my 2 or 3 of my favorite celebrities died. If those celebrities had not died, those people would think that 2016 was a good year. They would think 2016 was such a pleasant year because George Michael pulled it out. He didn't die this year. He made it through, right? And I'm sitting here like, what the hell? I was about to say, what the fuck is wrong with you? But I'm not going to cuss today. What are you thinking? What is going on here? 745 of your own people have been murdered, and you are the Negro who will change your profile picture to mourn the deaths of a few dozen people in Paris, but you won't say nothing about hundreds of people dying in Africa. If there's a slaughter, there could be a biggest slaughter in the world in Nigeria or Kenya or Mali or something like that. And these same Negroes who will change their profile picture for Paris won't say nothing about what happened in Africa. Those same Negroes who will mourn all day for some people in a terrorist attack in Belgium won't say anything, have nothing to say about the murder in Chicago. Maybe they'll say, well, they're killing each other and we just need to stop killing each other. Don't you understand how blatantly clear the white supremacy is in your statement? Do you understand that white supremacy really it works best when black people are committed to it? In fact, it only works if you're committed to it. Right? White people can think they're superior, but if you don't think they're superior, then you're just going to go out and compete with them. You're not going to actually go out and keep deferring to them the way you do. It's extraordinary. It's really extraordinary. Think about it. You can't explain to me how it makes any sense. We lost George Michael, Prince, Natalie Cole, Sharon Jones. Okay, let me see. Sharon Jones, I don't know much about Sharon Jones. But, I'm going to tell you what's happened really. And I explained this to a sister the other day because she said, I have to admit, I'm in that category. She said, I didn't realize it, but I have to admit I'm in, that that I'm one of the people who thinks that way. And I said, well, yeah, I said the problem is that you become desensitized to your own suffering. Many of us are not really black people to the core. We are black people. We are white people with black faces. We have black faces, but we think like white people do. We have the same values white people do. We believe that white people are superior, better, more important. We believe that white people are great. And why wouldn't you believe that? Why wouldn't you? Everything you see on media pretty much tells you white people are better than you, right? Anything great ever done was done by a white man. All the power is controlled by white people. All the imagery you see in terms of beauty and success is white. The measures of black success are heavily contingent upon whether or not white people accept you and start giving you money. Many of the black people you admire most, you admire them because white people embraced them and white people made them rich and put them on TV, and now you admire them as models of success. Even your beloved President Barack Obama, he wouldn't be president if white people had not embraced him. So the question is, if white people had rejected him and he had less power, he was like, say, the president of an HBCU, or he was really a true community activist and really out here organizing black people like Farrakhan does, would you admire Barack Obama as much in that situation as you do with him achieving the ultimate degree of assimilation? Like, does he have to be in the White House for him to be an honorable, extraordinary human being for you? Well, I would beg to argue that a lot of people admire Obama more because he achieved the ultimate dream. The ultimate dream wasn't just getting into the White House. The ultimate dream was being accepted by white people enough that they admire you as much as black people do, and even more. In fact, a lot of black people didn't even vote for Obama until white people started supporting him. A lot of black people didn't even support him until he won in Iowa. Why does a Negro got to win in Iowa for you to vote for him? Why can't you vote for him because he's the best black candidate? I supported Obama long before black people did. I said, I don't care if black people ain't voting for him. I said, I think this guy's better than Hillary Clinton. I've disliked Hillary for a long time. And I said, plus I think he's charismatic. I think he's smart. I think he has a chance to win. And at that time, that statement sounded crazy. Literally, I was on CNN. I was the only person on that episode who felt that Obama could become president. But I said, no, this guy, he got Oprah on board now. Oh, the train is starting. And that was an implicit endorsement, and which is interesting because a lot of people thought that I disliked him because I was critical of him. But I wasn't critical of him because I didn't like the guy. I was just critical because I'm going to be critical of any president. That's what you're supposed to do. That's how the political game's supposed to be played. They just never taught y'all that. They taught y'all to be emotional and to worship people and to feel that somehow unconditional worship is what is required in order for you to show respect to another party. I don't believe that. I don't believe you have to worship somebody in order to show that you respect them. Sometimes challenging them makes them better. Sometimes they only respect you if you challenge them. And a lot of times the reason black people are not respected politically and otherwise is because we are so determined to get other people to like us that we will sit there in silence and suffer in silence and remain quiet even when it's our chance to speak, even when it's our turn to speak up, even when we have the most to say, even when we've been through the most. You shouldn't even really have to have a conversation about reparations because there is no normal person on this planet who could see what you've gone through and say, I wonder if these people deserve reparations. Regular people would never even have that. It would be a foregone conclusion. That's like asking, should a person who was raped repeatedly at gunpoint actually have the right to press charges? No, there's no conversation to be had. The only time that there's a conversation is when the victim himself or herself somehow feels that their pain isn't worth discussing. When they feel that when they feel that what they've gone through really isn't that big of a deal. And that's what you've been trained to do. You've been desensitized to your own pain. In fact, there are studies that actually show that most Americans, most people, white and black, truly believe black people feel less pain than other people do. White people really think that. And black people do too. They really think little things like if you go to the doctor and you get a shot and it hurts, that it's not going to hurt you as bad as it hurts a white person. But that's kind of what occurs when you've been dehumanized. Well, because I used to be so confused about racism. Racism used to be weird. I didn't get it. I would be like, how in the fuck can a person who's never met me before meet me for the first time and be like, die, nigga, die. I want you dead. I hate you. I ain't did nothing to you. I just came into your store to buy some ice cream. Like, who taught you to hate me like this? Like, where does this come from? I mean, I never got it. I never understood. I would watch, I would look at those old documentaries where they show the little black kids trying to integrate into a school, and there's white people like, I hate you, nigger. Go back to your neighborhood. Spitting on them, throwing apples at the little girl's head, standing over looking like the biggest demon on the planet, cussing the little 8-year-old out. And I'm like, what makes a grown-up cuss out an 8-year-old that they don't even know? What kind of mental illness do you have to have in order to think that this is normal behavior? Or I used to look at those old pictures, those old pictures of lynchings. Have you ever seen those weird lynching pictures where you'll have a family smiling and like they're at a barbecue and they're having a good time, a family picnic, and they'll have the kids in the picture, and there'll be a black man hanging from a tree who's been burned alive and had his nuts cut off, and you got your damn kids at the damn event and y'all smiling like it's a birthday party. What the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, seriously. I'm just sitting there. I mean, I really worry. Like what has been put into your head to think this is normal behavior? Even if I was a cold-blooded killer, even if I did support somebody being burned alive and having their genitals removed, I wouldn't bring my kids. Like my kids would stay home. Like I wouldn't tell them that your daddy wants to take you to an event where we just burned another human being alive and cut off their testicles. Like that doesn't make any sense. So anyway, here's what I have concluded. Here's part of what I believe on this issue. Look, the fact that you've been dehumanized means that in the minds of white people for 400 years, you haven't been seen as a person. Black people are not seen as human beings. To this day, we're not seen as human beings. That's how so many millions of white people can sit there and watch black people get shot down and it's not a big deal. They're like, oh, well, at least nobody died today, right? And so when you've been dehumanized and you're compared to an animal, then it's easy for people to watch you suffer because nobody feels pain for the suffering of an animal, right? The same way that white person can pose in front of, and I'm not talking about all white people, I'm talking about the crazy ones, which unfortunately you go back in time, that was the majority, that was a large percentage. The same way that they can pose, with the family at a family picnic with a dead body in the background hanging from a tree, is the same way that they can go and have a pig roast and pose and have a picture while the pig is on a stick, got a stick going through his body, and he's been burned alive, and he's got an apple in his mouth. And nobody is sitting there feeling sorry for the pig. Nobody feels any empathy or sympathy for the pig, right? Nobody feels the pain of the pig, right? But the pig is sitting there like, man, this is fucked up. Like, y'all, man, this is horrible. This is how can you do this to me? Like, this is not cool, right? They're not thinking that. They're like, no, the pig's job is to serve us, right? The pig's job is to be something, is to be food for us, right? Now, black people, somebody said, well, I'm surprised they didn't eat them, right? They didn't eat the black people. I'm sure that there's some stories out there that we just never learned in history class. But I will say that's the only thing, the only difference is that they didn't actually chop us up and eat us, but their economic system eats you up every day. You are food for the white supremacist economic system every single day of your life, unless you learn how that system works and how to get out of that matrix. In fact, I was breaking that down. I said, it's interesting. You think about it. What do we do with our lives? What are we trained to do from birth? Well, we're trained to go get a job and work for somebody else, usually a white person. So we're making our boss rich by giving them 100,000 hours of our labor over the course of our life. After you make your boss rich, you take your paycheck, you go pay rent at your apartment to make your landlord rich because you're helping him buy his property. And then after that, you go to the mall and you buy a bunch of consumer items and you make You make the department stores rich. And then because you want to look fly, you go buy you some sort of cool fancy car that you really can't afford. So you're making the car dealer rich. And then you go to church every Sunday and the pastor he passed around a collection plate. And then so you make your pastor rich. And then the politicians come by your church and they pretty much tell you that the only way you can get out of your situation is to pray to Jesus and vote for the Democratic Party. So you end up making the politicians rich because you keep them in power, which allows them to get their corporate money. So at the end of the day, you end up making everybody rich except for you. You end up helping everyone succeed except for you. You become the fuel. You become the fuel and to some extent the engine on which American wealth and prosperity is built. And this is nothing new. This has been in place for 400 years. Go read the book Black Labor, White Wealth. Y'all have heard me speak on this book on a regular basis. It's by Dr. Claude Anderson. Every black person in America should read this book. If you have children, have them read this book. If you want to go check out the book, if you want a copy, whatever, I have a library of books that I recommend every black person read. You can go to thedrboycelibrary.com. That's thedrboycelibrary.com. Write that down, thedrboycelibrary.com. And what this book does, is it clears up everything. It helps you make sense of white supremacy because you can see it from the root. It's just like when I used to be a track coach, and you would have different kinds of kids. You would have some kids that are that are good, really good, well behaved, very polite children. And then you would have the little assholes, little kids. You ever see those little kids where you just want to pick them up and throw them out the window while you're driving down the freeway? I loved all my kids, but my God, some of those kids would be little demons. You could tell no discipline, no daddy around, whatever. And you just like, man, I'm gonna hurt you right now. And so anyway, here's the funny thing. So I would see this sort of random dispersion in terms of attitude amongst the different kids. But then we would have like a parents' day where the parents would come in with the kids. And when I met the parents, it would all come together. I'll be like, oh, that's why you're an asshole, because your parents don't discipline you. They spoil you. Or, oh, that's why Joe is such a good kid, because his parents make sure that he's well behaved and well mannered. The children are a product of their parents. They are a direct product of how they were raised, how they were taught every day, right? That's why you can't, when you talk about kids acting out in the school system, you can't put all of that on the teachers now. Now, you know what I say about these white teachers from the suburbs is it's a messed up situation. It's absolute intellectual imperialism that they've imposed upon you. You're an occupied community. However, when those little kids go to school and that kid is 6 years old and they're cussing up a storm, dropping it like it's hot, reciting, violent rap lyrics, you got to look at the mama and the daddy, right? You got to look at what's going on at home, because a lot of these kids are not being trained or taught at an early age, right? So the same way that children are a product of their parents, America's present is a product of its history. To understand the child, I had to meet the parents. And if I really want to understand the child, I would maybe learn how the child was raised. And if I really want to go deeper, I'd learn how the parents were raised. Because that ignorance becomes intergenerational, right? Trauma becomes intergenerational. We pass it down from one generation to the next. But also prosperity can be intergenerational as well if you choose to embrace that, right? So with America, when I study America's history in detail and understand exactly what the relationship was between whites and blacks, going all the way back to the days when they brought the first of us over here from Africa, it all makes sense. I say, oh, that's why they act so stupid. Well, because for 300-400 years, they had laws and policies in place that pretty much promoted racial stupidity and racial hatred and racial ignorance and racial terror. They were terrorists. They were trained by their own government to be terrorists of black people. We were the original terror victims. Stop talking about ISIS. You talk about WISIS. You talk about white folks. They are the original terrorists, unfortunately. Now, I'm not saying everybody is bad. You got to always say something like that. All white folks ain't bad, because people want to make your words into what they're not. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, when you have broad, systematic government policies that pretty much tell you that black people are less than human, 3/5 of a person, all this other stuff, well, then why wouldn't it be the case that the majority of white Americans would think that black people were subhuman, right? right? You look at even today in the justice system, where you have brothers and sisters, they get, they get arrested for a crime, maybe a crime they didn't commit, but that doesn't matter. Just being arrested or accused is the same as a conviction for many people in this country, especially if you're black, especially if you're poor and black. You're poor and black, just simply interacting with that system becomes a conviction. Right? Because first thing's going to happen is you're going to have to pay thousands of dollars to fight the case, which you probably don't have because your wealth has been stolen from you. And then second of all, you're going to be told by the prosecutor, you're going to be threatened. This is like what they would do in medieval torture. They'll threaten you and say, if you plead guilty, if you admit to this crime, even if you didn't commit the crime, if you plead guilty, then you'll get a short sentence. If you don't, if you actually exercise your right to a free trial, then you're going to get a super long sentence. So that's an implicit threat. That's what, unfortunately, some religions do that to you, right? They're like, either accept us or you're going to burn in hell for all eternity, right? And we're going to ostracize you and all this other stuff, right? Which is one of my real big problems with organized religion. I'm not against spirituality. I'm not against the concept of God, but I am against the idea of organized religion that uses implicit threats to get people to submit to an ideology. Nobody should have to threaten you to get you to submit to anything. They should actually be able to persuade you by allowing you to think for yourself. But organized religion doesn't really work that way, and that's how a lot of people get screwed. So anyway, going back to that, you're going in there and you're not really dealing with a justice system that's built on any kind of fairness. It's a system that says either give us what we want, or we're going to torture you. Right. So it is like, again, like the medieval, I compare it to the medieval torture when they would accuse somebody of being a witch and they would torture them until they confessed to being a witch, after which they would kill them for being a witch. Right. So you ain't going to win. You ain't going to win. Even, if you weren't a witch, then, I mean, you're still going to probably die. No matter what. Right. You're either going to die from the torture, or you're going to die because they kill you. Right. Or I think they had another one where they said something like, we're going to throw you in the water, and if you don't drown, then that means that you're guilty, right? Or something ridiculous, right? So if you drown, that means you're innocent, which means you're dead. And if you don't drown, that means you're guilty, which means we're going to kill you. I mean, just sick stuff, just crazy stuff, right? Again, stuff that only, like, black people don't do stuff like that. We did. I don't think we had stuff like that in Africa. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but don't get me wrong, though. There are some things that happen in Africa that are very unhealthy. So let me just make sure, like, especially like with albinos, or when they remove the little girls' clitorises and crazy stuff like that. So craziness is kind of all over the world, but I think America and Europe kind of have a special place when it comes to systematic insanity. So anyway, somebody says, can black people date white girls? Absolutely. I don't have any problem with black people dating white people. I don't like black people who exclusively date white people, because when you exclusively date white people, that shows, again, a white supremacist bias that's not healthy for you. But if you happen to fall in love with a person who's white, I mean, who am I to tell you who you should love? I mean, whatever. I've actually met some white people who actually have more sense than some of the black people I know. I wouldn't date a white woman, to be honest with you. I wouldn't. That's not really something I'd want to do. I care about the black family and stuff like that. But, if somebody else made that decision, I wouldn't judge them for it. I'm not going to attack them for it. I don't believe that doesn't gel well with my spirit. Okay, so anyway, let me say this to you. If you want to, please hit the share button real quick. Let's take a quick second. Right now, please hit the share button if you haven't done this. Invite your Twitter followers or your Facebook friends. And my brother says, let's see, you're a St. Stephen's member. You're one of my top 5 people to meet. Well, I appreciate it. I don't know how I got in this top 5, but I'll take it. Brother. Thank you. And I look forward to meeting you in person. Also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, please go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. And also, if you want to know about our financial literacy programs, my PhD's in finance. And so in the Black Business School, we have a lot of great programs for you, very high quality, low cost alternatives to an expensive education. So you don't have to go deep in debt to learn the same stuff that your professors would teach on a college campus. You can actually go to blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. You can check out our programs. We have great programs for kids, thousands of kids in our programs. We have great programs for adults. There's no excuse for us not to have what we want, what we need. My goal is to make sure you understand the economic system from top to bottom on every level, because if we do this, then I really believe that we can actually do whatever we want to do. I do believe that building wealth will conquer racism faster than a march or a rally or a protest and yelling and screaming, or even voting for the Democrats. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that voting for the Democrats is a bad or good thing. I'm not judging it one way or the other, but I do believe that the only people who would truly fight for black people are black people. I mean, at the end of the day, you're all you got. You really are all you got. Other people will abandon you in a second. Other people will subjugate you in a second. Economically, you're all you got. If black people don't support black businesses, then who's going to support black businesses? What, the Asians? You think the Chinese going to come across town to come buy from you the way you go to buy from them? No, they're not going to do that. You think white folks, do white people spend, what percentage of white wealth is actually spent in black businesses? Can anybody tell me? I mean, do white people go to the black side of town to spend a whole lot of money, other than maybe to get some soul food every now and then, so they can keep doing what they've been doing for the longest time, which is pretty much following the trends that you set, right? No, they're not going to support black business. So at the end of the day, if black people don't support black people, if black people don't support black business, then black businesses will die. So somebody asked me, well, why do you think that black people should boycott non-black businesses? Though, isn't that racist? I say no. I mean, white people have been boycotting you for 400 years. White people have been boycotting black businesses since businesses came into existence. So why in the fuck should I care about taking care of their shit and feeding their kids when I gotta feed my own, when I gotta feed people in my own community first? This is not racism. This is not some sort of hatred. This is actually very basic human self-preservation. But the interesting thing is that people aren't used to black people thinking that way. They're used to you being the side chick. That's what it is. And I compare it to the side chick because the man who has the side chick, he expects the side chick to be loyal to him, but he has no loyalty for her, right? He doesn't expect her to demand the same loyalty from him that he expects from her, right? So for black folks, and again, that's a self-esteem issue, right? So for black people, as our self-esteem rises, then we begin to demand simple things like reciprocity. And when we start asking for reciprocity and people aren't accustomed to reciprocity, then the first thing they do is it creates that cognitive dissonance we were talking about earlier. Remember cognitive dissonance? When you say something to somebody that's kind of outside the range of what they expect, what happens? They get angry. First reaction is anger. Eventually, though, they get used to it. Once they know that you're serious and you drop that shit on them, like, look, we ain't playing with you, then they're going to eventually say, oh, well, something's changed here. Okay, well, I guess I got to step my game up. Again, just like the man with the side chick. When the side chick sets a higher standard, then suddenly he's mad at first. He's like, well, why are you acting like this? Why are you doing this to me? Blah, 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 blah. But then either he shapes up or he ships out, right? He either raises what he offers the woman, or he walks away, right? So at the same time, so that's what's going to happen with you, with a lot of your friends, especially a lot of your white friends. When they see you growing in consciousness and they see that your Facebook status updates have changed, or they hear you talking about political issues in a certain way or self-love for your community in a certain way, they're going to be, the dissonance sets in. They're going to be like, well, gosh, Marquisha used to be so much nicer, but now she just seems mad all the time, right? They're going to give you a hard time about it, but they're either going to shape up or ship out. The white folks who are really down with you are going to try to understand you. They're going to respect you. They might even think you're a little crazy. Like my white friends think I'm crazy, but my true friends still have a certain element of respect. They're like, wow, Boyce scares me a little bit, but he's holding it down. I know not to play with Boyce. When they talk to me, there's a type of respect that they wouldn't have if I was still their subjugated little boy. If I was sitting there hand in hand begging them to take care of me or begging for their approval, then there would be a certain way that they would treat me in that situation that differs from the way they treat me now. Now they see me a little bit like maybe the way somebody might see a Farrakhan. Like, look, I'm not going to give you no hard time. Just don't be coming with no bullshit. You keep the bullshit in your pocket and we can be friends. I'm going to be the nicest person you ever met. I will give you a hug. I'll kiss your wife on the cheek. I will sit and talk to you for hours. I will come through and help you in any way that I can. But when you start acting white, when you start coming at me with that nonsense, that white supremacist bullshit, then we're going to have a problem. But just don't bring the nonsense and we're going to be okay. Well, but at the same time, though, while I have some white friends who adjust, I have other white friends who just walk away, who don't want to be my friend anymore. And it hurts a little bit Because I'm not a bad person. I mean, y'all don't think I'm a mean person, do you? I hope not. Because I'm not a mean person. I'm a very nice person. I believe truly that my role in life is to help as many people as possible. I really feel that way. I feel that you can't, if you have any fame and any power, and you're not trying to use that to make as many people's lives better as you can, then you are a waste of fame. The celebrities who sit on Facebook who have 20 million Facebook followers, and all you do is share jokes and memes and tell people about your next movie or your next album, that to me, you might as well, you don't exist in my mind. You don't even matter. You really truly haven't even evolved to a point where you truly understand the depths of the power that you've been blessed with. Your power is not given to you so you can just keep it for yourself and make a bunch of money. It's given to you because you're supposed to help other people. So anyway, let me. We were actually talking about the celebrity thing, but so let me be more specific on that topic. Now, the reason that I was actually hitting on this issue today was because, when I saw the death of George Michael and how people reacted to it, and I saw how people have been reacting to the deaths of other black celebrities and white celebrities over the course of this year, I kind of started thinking about the way so many people know that black people just worship celebrities. In fact, I looked up some data, and you guys may not know this, but according to Nielsen, African Americans are 90% more likely, 90%, almost double, almost 100% more likely than whites to purchase a product if it has a celebrity endorsement. Did you know that? Actually, celebrity endorsements don't work that well for white people. White people are like, okay, it's nice that you can sing, but I don't give a shit. I need to buy me some laundry detergent. That's how white people act. They're like, whatever, man. Just is the detergent good? I'll see your next movie, but I don't care about it. I don't really care that this famous person endorses a celebrity. The only exception was Ellen DeGeneres. For some reason, Ellen DeGeneres has a certain impact on whites. Everybody, most of the other celebrities, they don't care. But for black people, the experts know, and they tell politicians this, they tell corporations this. They said black people are funny. Black people love celebrities. They worship them. There's something magical that occurs in a connection between black people and other black people that are put on TV. So black people, as a result, are 90%, 96% more likely to purchase a product because a celebrity endorsement or a celebrity endorsed it. We are 79% more likely, 79% more likely than whites to buy a product also if it's designed by a celebrity. So if Beyonce comes out with a new coat, we are more likely to buy it because Beyonce is allegedly the designer of that coat. Let's see here. Also, African Americans are who make over $100,000 a year so this is rich Negroes. This ain't just poor people, right? So because a lot of y'all like to make fun of poor people, and I think that's wrong. A lot of wealthy black people, a lot of so-called affluent black people, educated black people, actually, unfortunately, become among the biggest obstacles to progress in the community because you have tasted the sweet juices of assimilation. You have had the chance to just get a little bit of that white man sugar where he's let you into his organizations, let you into his universities, let you have access to a high income and so-called opportunities because you submitted to his educational system. You've given, and I'm not talking about you. I'm not making fun of you. I'm talking about me. I fit directly in that category. I got my PhD at Ohio State. After that, I wasn't in the same struggle as everybody else. My first job offer was for $115,000 a year back in 2001. And the fact of the matter was that I really got mad at myself because I could have easily negotiated $150,000. The guy, when I asked for, he offered me $100 and I didn't know how to negotiate. So I said, well, I can't do it for $100. He said, well, how much would you need? I said, I don't know, at least $115. He called back the next day and said, I can get you $115. I said, okay, you got a deal. And I look back on it, I'm thinking, oh my God, that was so dumb. I literally should have said 150, 160, 170, and then I probably would have got 150, 160, 170. But the thing was, though, so that assimilation, it sucks you in. It's very tempting. It really is. And but the problem is, though, that, once I got into Syracuse University and I walk in this environment, they had 100 faculty in the business school approximately. There were zero black people there, zero black faculty, zero. And so I'm walking in this environment and I'm a young black man. I'm still bumping Ice Cube on my way to work. I'm thinking about all the issues I want to solve in my community. I'm thinking about all the things that matter to me as a black man. And these people are telling me, like, why do those things matter to you anymore? I mean, you've been accepted. You fulfilled Dr. King's dream. You're one of us now. You don't have to worry about all of that stuff. So it's very tempting. And if you're not sort of a person that tries to sort of be thoughtful about this stuff, it's easy to be sucked into that. And here's the other thing that assimilation does. And this, I'm talking about the rich Negroes here, the ones that make over 100K, who have all the education. When you have been assimilated, it just like integration, it makes you weak when it comes to your ability to provide for yourself. You become overly dependent upon the white supremacist economic system to get the things that you need. Right. So you went to Georgetown Law School and you now work for the big law firm downtown, and they're paying you really good money, even though they're treating you like a nigga sometimes. And you know it, because that's how you get these articles that black scholars like to write about, things like microaggressions. Anybody know those articles, microaggressions, where you talk about little things that white people do to show you that they think they're better than you, or little things they do to kind of bother you because they're racist, right? So the thing is, the reason you write these articles and you intellectualize this dysfunction is because you somehow kind of think that you have to survive in this dysfunction. You're trying to make sense out of something that doesn't make sense. You're trying to make something complicated when it's actually very, very simple. The simple truth is that they don't like your black ass, and that this institution was not built for you, and that this is not consistent with who you are culturally, and that when you come in, you cause a cultural disruption no different from a pebble being thrown in a lake causing waves when the pebble gets dropped into the water. Right? So the only way that you can survive is like that pebble, you have to stop making waves. The more waves you make, the more uncomfortable other people become, and the more likely your black ass is to be dumped out on the street. However, here's the problem though. Here's the problem. Because you've been accepted through assimilation and you believe that education was your pathway to success, you took a certain path, just like Monopoly, or what? Not Monopoly, I'm sorry, the game of life. Back when I was a kid, we used to play the game of life. Remember how you could pick different paths? You could either go to college or not go to college, stuff like that. So you pick the college path, which is better than the non-college path. But there's also that other path. The other path is building. The other path would be entrepreneurship. And most black people who become entrepreneurs, who become builders, they build out of necessity. They build out of necessity. They go create a job because they can't find one. They go start a business because they can't get opportunities, right? They go create and develop their own Black Wall Street because regular white Wall Street won't let them in. Those who have been accepted, who've been given just a little taste of the easy path, are more likely to not develop those alternative skills. So that's why I've consistently stated, I'll say it to the end of time. I said, look, if I'm the president of any HBCU in America, first thing I do is I require every incoming freshman to take a class on entrepreneurship. Because if you can be trained to go work for white people, then you can be trained to work for yourself. If you can be trained to go succeed in the white community, then you can be trained to succeed in a community where black people are running the show. If so don't tell me that, everybody ain't cut out to run a business. No, that's not actually true in the sense that, first of all, there was a time where there weren't corporations. I don't know if you guys know this. If you go back and you look at the history of industrialization, you go back 150, 200 years, there were no corporate jobs to apply for. So if you weren't built to start something for yourself, then you were not going to eat. So maybe people back then, maybe most of them weren't built to be entrepreneurs, but shit, when they got hungry, they figured it out, right? So that's one angle on it. But then the other angle is that, remember, you're black, you're not white. Stop thinking that you're white. You're not white. You're never going to be white. And the thing is that what they do is, and the reason I have to say this is because they lure you in. They lure you in by telling you that the war is over, that racism is done, that we're in a post-racial society, that people like Boyce Watkins are just yapping and complaining and they full of shit. Right. And you fall for that hook, line, and sinker. And what it does is it causes you to drop your guard. You become defenseless. And at the end of the day, you end up getting slaughtered because you ain't ready. You ain't ready. They drop that shit on your ass. And you're like, what the hell happened? Like, wait, I was the best performer in the firm and I put in more hours than everyone else. And I was deeply committed to this organization. And by golly, I loved Walmart and my manager, she just didn't want to see a black woman or a black man get this opportunity. So I got laid off and it just wasn't fair. Right. And so, I'm just going to tell you that it's not fair. It's not fair. You see, you can't forget that economics really is a very competitive game. And the best way to compete and to win in a competition is to get your opponent to believe that there is no competition, to get your opponent to believe that you're actually friends. I watched this really great trick play. It was a trick play in football. I forgot. I think the Dallas Cowboys ran it, or was it the Cowboys? I think it was the Cowboys. Somebody, I forget who ran it, but it was the most beautiful play. It was no, the Steelers. The Steelers ran it against somebody, and so the Steelers quarterback at the end of the game. I don't know if y'all know football enough to know this analogy, but I'm gonna share it anyway. At the end of the game, the quarterback usually will spike the ball down, or they'll just get the ball and throw it down so they can call a timeout, right, or whatever, right. So Roethlisberger, the quarterback of the Steelers, made the other team think that they were just going to drop the ball down and just, the play wasn't even going to happen, right? So the other team is kind of relaxed, like they're not even really lining up because they know what he's going to do. Well, when they're just kind of relaxed, he hikes the ball and he throws the ball to the wide receiver and scores a touchdown because they were off guard. They weren't playing defense because they thought the play was over. They thought the competition had come to an end, right? Well, the same thing is true in life and in business. White folks get over on you because they unfortunately, maybe, I don't know if they all get together and make this decision. I'm not saying that's the case, but they convince you that the competition's over when the whole time they're competing like hell to make sure they maintain dominance over you, right? Just like they do this with animals in the slaughterhouse. Pigs get traumatized when they watch other pigs get slaughtered. Cows get traumatized when they're watching other cows get slaughtered. So sometimes they'll do things to distract the pig or distract the cow so they don't know that they're about to get slaughtered, so that it's easier to kill them. Right? So for black people, they distract you to make you not realize you're being slaughtered so that it becomes easier to kill you. It becomes easier to enslave you, easier to control you. Right? And so you can call me crazy, you can call me stupid, you can get mad at me for saying this, but I would just say that generally speaking, black people, whatever you do, never ever become dependent on other people to give you what you need. It's very, very basic. Just like I tell my daughter, you can cool. If you want to marry a man with money, go for it. Go for it. If he's a good dude and he's got some dough, then that's great. That's one problem you don't have to solve. But make sure you got your own stash. Make sure you know how to make your own money. Make sure you got your own business. Make sure you got a plan B. You go on that date with him, right? Your mama will tell you to make sure you have some money in your purse in case you got to take a cab home or whatever. Always have a plan B. And with white folks and your dysfunctional marriage to white supremacy, you really let go of your plan B. That's where integration failed. Integration killed our desire to have a plan B. We said, oh, I'm going to go marry this person and it's going to be wonderful and everything's going to be fine. And then next thing you know, you found out you were in an abusive relationship because if you had looked at the writing on the wall, you would have realized this person never liked you in the first place. They never respected you in the first place. So anyway, with this thing with celebrities, just kind of going back full circle with this. I'm sorry. I when I looked at the data in Chicago and I saw that 745 people have been murdered in this city, it bothers me that there are so many black folks because of our incessant worship of celebrities. It bothers me that we will mourn all day for a celebrity that we don't even know and not care anything about hundreds of our own people being murdered in the street. When I think about a dead celebrity, I mean, I get sad like everybody else. When Michael Jackson died, I remember that day very well. I was on the radio that day, and that day, literally, it was almost a weird coincidence. I don't know what it was, but at the beginning of the day, before anybody knew anything about Michael even going to the hospital, they asked me. I hosted the show for 6 hours. They asked me, "What music do you want to play in your commercial breaks?" I said, "Play some old Michael Jackson." I swear to God, I said, play some old Michael Jackson. I want that pre-nose job Michael Jackson, that 1970s Michael Jackson. Remember he was in The Wiz with Diana Ross and he was just tearing it up. I mean, the man was so talented, right? And the whole day we have been playing Michael Jackson music all day long. And then the producer toward the end of the show interrupted me. He said, Michael Jackson's been taken to the hospital. So we changed the whole show. I was guest hosting. It was somebody else's show. It wasn't mine. And we changed the whole format of the show to talk about Michael going to the hospital. And then by the time the show was over, Michael was dead. Right? So I felt that. I was sad. I was very, very sad. But here's the fact. Here's the truth. I don't know Michael Jackson. I never knew him as a person. Michael Jackson was a performer. And what does that mean? That means that I bought records from him. I followed some of his weird stories in the movie and in the news or whatever. Um, but when he died, it didn't change my life that much. I mean, I can still hear Michael whenever I want to. All I gotta do is go to YouTube, right? Go to my Spotify. Michael always exists today the way he existed when he was alive. I wasn't getting money from Michael. I didn't live with Michael. Michael was not my buddy. Michael didn't drive to work with me every morning. Michael didn't babysit my kids. Michael and I were not homeboys. I did not know him as a person. So I think that some of us have to realize the difference between a real friend versus a friend in our head. We might have grew up on somebody's music and grew up on somebody, being on TV and our favorite celebrity. My God, I mean, again, it translates. There really is something dysfunctional with black folks when it comes to this issue, because that's why Nielsen said black people are 96% more likely to buy a product because a celebrity endorsed it. So that translates to things like even voting. You're more likely to support a candidate because a celebrity endorses that candidate. Well, why do you think Hillary Clinton was going out grabbing all the celebrities? Why do you think the whole Obama administration, they were feeding you celebrities left and right? They were feeding you celebrities because they know you worship these people. And I would say that a healthy respect is important. It's fine. But when you get to where you worshiping somebody and you act like their opinions matter, even though they really don't, that's a little bit of a problem. When Prince died, we were sad. We were very sad. But Prince, it was not a real person for most of us, right? He wasn't. And so we can, but again, though, I think with Prince, we could be sad that Prince, the activist, died. I can tell you what, I know people that know Prince very well, and Prince was a good guy. That's what made me sad, was that we lost a good soul who was contributing to an important cause. If with the day, God forbid, that Mr. Farrakhan goes to the next stage of his existence, his spirit, when he passes, I'm going to be very sad, because we're losing a leader. We're losing somebody who showed in many, many ways how much he loved us. But when George Michael died, I was like, wow, that sucks. So I'm sorry for him and his family, but 745 people in Chicago died, so I'm kind of busy mourning for them first, right? Doesn't mean I can't mourn for George Michael, but I don't listen to George Michael songs every day. I don't know George Michael. George Michael, he's a guy on the radio. He's always going to be a guy on the radio. His music will live forever. So it was real. Thank you, George. Right. And here's another funny thing. I heard some people say, not funny, funny in a bad way. Somebody said something like, well, in Chicago, these people are dying because they're killing each other and they're making a choice to kill each other and blah, 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 blah. And I was offended by that, obviously, because people, they obviously don't understand social engineering and how social engineering plays a part in all the homicides that are occurring in Chicago. There are people that have given me really interesting stories about where the guns come from, how trains will break down, just randomly break down in the neighborhood, and suddenly everybody's going on the trains to get guns, or a box of guns will appear in a back alley, or you got rogue cops out here, I'm sure, that are supplying guns. All I know is that in order for a 12-year-old to get a hold of an Uzi or an AK-47 or even a handgun, some adult has to help them make that happen. Black people don't make guns in the hood. We do not manufacture any of that shit in the hood. So stop acting like white folks ain't got nothing to do with it. They got everything to do with it. Everything to do with it. And also they have everything to do with the fact that you have death and chaos in certain neighborhoods, but you have serenity, peace, calm, and safety in other neighborhoods. Why is the violence in Chicago not transferring over to the north side where all the rich white people live? Is there some magical barrier, or is there a difference in policing? Is there a difference in the way guns are made available? Is there a difference in the way drugs are distributed in those communities? So get the hell up out of here with this stuff. Oh, black people are killing each other, blah, 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 blah. And the other thing, too, was when somebody said that about George Michael and they were comparing and all that, I said, and saying, well, these people that are dying in Chicago, they're dying because they're killing each other, and George Michael just died from health reasons. And I was like, well, I mean, who's to say George Michael didn't do something to cause his own death? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know a lot of 53-year-olds who just drop dead out of the blue. A lot of these celebrities that die are very young, and many of them have histories of drug abuse and all kinds of craziness and stuff going on. Some of them got AIDS, let's just be real. So stop putting that whole like, oh, well, it just randomly happened. Most of this stuff doesn't randomly happen. I mean, God bless Whitney Houston, but she didn't randomly die. People that knew Whitney's life, knew 20 years ago that something bad was going to happen to that poor girl, because something occurred where she was going down the wrong path with Bobby. You look at, even poor Michael, Michael's own family was talking about concerns that they had about some of the things, some of the choices he was making. So again, I'm not saying that these deaths, and I know it's sacrilegious for some people. I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. I know y'all might love Michael and love Whitney and love these other people, and I love them too. But I love them as performers. That's what they were to me. Whitney Houston sang like an angel, but I didn't know Whitney as a person. I might have hated Whitney as a person. I don't know Whitney as a person, but I do know Whitney as a singer, and Whitney could sing her ass off, and God bless her for that. Michael, best performer I ever saw. Amazing. From 5 years old to 55, that man held it down like no other entertainer in history. Let's love him for that. But outside of that, you don't know what kind of person Michael is. Period. You don't know that. So anyway, or the person that he was. Let me say that. And so anyway. All right, so before I get out of here, I got to actually run. For those who think I'm racist, I'm actually going to meet with a white guy. He's a young white guy that wants. He actually has taken me on as a mentor, and which is so interesting. I think it's a great experience for him. So he was in town and asked me to eat lunch with him, and so I'm gonna go eat lunch and sit and talk to him. And I think he's a great kid. He's bringing his girlfriend by because I guess he wants me to know, or he wants to know what I think about his girlfriend. And anyway. So I'm going to have to get out of here, but write this down. If you're interested in any of the programs that we have, you'd like to sign up for maybe our stock market investing program, things like that, you can go to blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. We have great programs for kids as well. We also have a lot of stuff. We have the Black Commerce Network and things like that you can sign up for that can help you get your business off the ground. Also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. Our stock market class, the kickoff session begins January 2nd. So if you're in the class, January 2nd is when it goes down, and we are going to go hard. And I want to help Black folks get over the myth that the stock market is a scary, dangerous place you should avoid. I talked to a Black woman yesterday who told me that her mama has saved $10,000 over 10 years. Or maybe it was over 20, or maybe it was 20. It was $20,000 over about 20 years. Let's make it simple math. And I said, that's really awesome that she saves money that way. I said, well, did she ever think about investing in the stock market? And she said no, because she's afraid. She sees the market go up and down on TV, and it makes her scared of it. And I said, well, you do know that if she'd invested that money over the last 20 years consistently in a diversified portfolio, or say one of the Vanguard funds or something like that, she'd probably have like maybe $50,000 to $60,000, right? So so while it's good that she saved the $20,000, the fact is that she left about $30,000 to $40,000. She gave away $30,000 to $40,000 by not investing in the market. So her fear of losing money by investing in the stock market actually was confirmed in the sense that, in the market, you might lose money temporarily, but if you don't invest, you're definitely going to lose money permanently. You definitely, the best way to lose money is to not invest your money. I would just say that, at least based on history, there's no 20-year. And she said, well, what about when the market goes up and down? I said, well, actually, there's been no 20-year period in American history where a person who invested in a diversified portfolio did not make money. There's no period in American history where that has occurred, ever in a diversified portfolio. So I told her even monkeys, they even did an experiment with monkeys, and they found that even monkeys are able to build wealth by investing in the stock market as long as they diversify, as long as they hold their stocks for a long period of time. So anyway, that's what we talk about in our stock market class. I break down all the theories. I explain how the market works. I explain how stocks are valued, and I explain it in a way that even a 4-year-old can understand. So I personally will say that it's going to be the best thing you ever did. And if you don't like it, we do have a money-back guarantee for 30 days in case you find that you somehow think that it wasn't what you expected. But the fact is, this is what I do. This is what I wrote my dissertation on. So I think I can actually help you overcome a lot of that and explain it in such a way that maybe you can convince your cousins and your grandmama and them that the stock market is not the devil. Because a lot of Black folks miss out on massive wealth building opportunities because we don't invest and we don't buy insurance policies. Those are two superstitions that we must kill in this generation. So anyway, I'm about to go, guys. So that's blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. Talk to you soon. Have an awesome day. Love you very much. Peace.